thing I learned just getting to know some of the neighbors is this is not Herr Environmental, this is not a new thing, that they're hurting the neighbors and creating havoc and getting away with really bad things. But the investigation, again, this is from memory, I believe began in either late 2008 or early 2009, and the field staff, just like Representative Clark described, worked in a stepped enforcement. So they worked with Herr Environmental to figure out what was awry. And one part of the investigation in those early days was just trying to make sense out of their records. So the DNR staff went and looked at all the contracts where they received money for hauling waste, and then tried to match those up with the spreading records, and they didn't match. And that's where it appears that as many as 60 violations were found by DNR staff, and that the records were changed from what I've heard at least 3 times, and it appeared the company maybe was just trying to hit the permit number but didn't maybe even know how to do that. So that's very concerning. So
comment on that real quick. One of the things the gentleman from Herr Environmental said at the Concord hearing was that he was trying a new software package. He put it in wrong, and it was all a paperwork mistake.
So if I get a new CD player in my car, can I drive down, I-94, looking in the back seat, going 85 miles an hour? Is that going to be okay to the person I hurt? I don't think so. I mean, that's the environmental, these are laws that protect the environment and public health, and these laws were violated. It's more concerning to me that Mr. Stair talked about not knowing how to use his own program and how to do the reporting. This is serious. This is human waste, and we don't know what else. So it's unacceptable that a company maintains a permit that can't fill out its paperwork appropriately to prove the public is safe. I did not hear anything about no crops being planted on the field until this gentleman talked about it at the town board meeting. That would change the calculations in the permit, because it's assumed that part of the calculations on how much waste that land can hold, it includes the uptake of plants. So that I did not see that in the records. It could have been there, but that's another aspect that should be looked at. So the amount of waste spread could have been much higher than allowable legal limits based on no crops on those fields. So then the DNR staff, professional staff, created 3-ring binder. It's a law enforcement investigation, so very carefully documented what they found, and what typically happens is then that recommendation for enforcement for referral to the Wisconsin Department of Justice goes to the Secretary's office, and for the most part those are pretty pro forma approvals, because you've got these professional staff out in the field, and something as egregious as this, it's just, well, as Governor Earl said, I mean, this is just unprecedented, that something like this would have been turned back from the Department of Justice. And you see the ripple effect for all these families. They have to deal with this. They have to figure out what to do, who's going to pay for it. They would have had an avenue for that, an avenue for redress, had this been allowed to go to the Department of Justice.